Konnichiwa, konbanwa to the Okayama, not the Yokohama, the Okayama International Circuit in Japan, the land of the rising sun, and we have a rising new championship out of the ashes of our IndyCar series. We now take on the world. We've done the US, now it's time to conquer the rest of the world in our little Mazda MX-5s. We're right back to the root and the heart of iRacing. These are cars that are available to everybody on the service. They form an integral backbone of the iRacing service, along with this, what would I say, small and kitsch and cute little private racing circuit in Mimisaka in the Okayama prefecture here in Japan. My name is Kevin Galvin, and we've gone all the way from Evan's Corner all the way to the other side of the world, Evan Walsh Corner, to the Okayama International Circuit. As I said, it's a Grade 2 FIA track, 3.703 kilometers. We're back in kilometers now, considering it's a World Series. 13 turns with a race lap record of 1:14.023, belonging to the great Michael Schumacher in his 1994 iconic Benetton. This is the site of the Super GT Challenge. We have GT World Challenge Asia, Super Formula Lights, a Porsche Carrera Cup. We also have regional Formula Japanese Championships here as well. This is a well-established and much-loved circuit, which really has its place on an awful lot of the games that we play, whether it be iRacing or Gran Turismo, any of the like. This one tends to pop up in a lot of them. So a lot of these drivers will be very familiar with this one, and they should, Evan, Dalton, be very familiar with the track. Very partially cloudy day today, 20 degrees, just a small puff of wind here in Okayama, and as I said, we're at 1,600 feet, right in the hills here, in the middle of Japan, near the town of Mimisaka. But Evan, yeah, it's a combination that a lot of these guys should be very familiar with, and it's one we're really looking forward to kick off our 8-round season.
Yes, hello everybody, pleasure to be back. It is a back to basics season. We are back to the simplicities and the enjoyments of sim racing. It is the Mazda MX-5, which, as Kevin mentioned, is a car available to literally everyone on iRacing. It is a car that anyone can hop on and drive, and they know it inside out. We have done one Mazda MX-5 season as part of RTA, Jason Smith winning the championship in that one. Doesn't look like he's going to enter for this season, so we will have a new champion in the MX-5s. This should be a very fun one.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good one. These cars are really, they're the driver's driving machine. Like, they're one of those cars that really test your ability to drive the car. They use these in a lot of the race schools as a way to teach people how to use saloon cars. It's all about weight transfer and pushing your way through the corner, so you can't trick these ones. There's no push to pass, there's no extra little gadgets or bits and bobs on these. This is stripped, as Evan said, right back to basics. Super 2000 lap time, which was a Honda Accord, is 148.7. We're already into the 144s here, so we're a little bit faster than the Honda's basic Honda Accords, but this is a car that obviously we all love, and it's a car that, Evan, obviously our own race broadcaster Ronan Hederman had for a time, so it's something that a lot of these guys will know very intimately, having either owned them or having raced them themselves in real life.
Yeah, and Ronan drove it very similarly to how the other Ronan Duffy, was just driving it, spinning it round for the final couple of corners and almost crashing into the wall. Ross Wheatley, another new name. We'll get to all the new names. All the returning names and new ones coming in this broadcast. But yeah, our IndyCar series, the excitement was created from the technicalities of this series, the added features. The excitement of this series will be door-to-door racing for 10, 15 and 20 minutes, and I'm very excited for it. It is as raw racing as you can get. Most of the grid loves MX-5s. Should be a good one.
Yeah, it should be a good one as they all pile out twos and threes coming out of the pit lane, and they should all sort themselves out once the collision models can start to get into the swing of things. It's going to be very varied paint schemes right across the grid. This is a very easy car to paint and a very car that has absolutely loads and loads and loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of paint schemes on trading paints. Probably the most painted car on trading paints, I would beg to say, given how many people race in these things when they start off. It's probably the first car that most people drive in the service. I know for me it was. My first race win was in this car in the rookies. So yeah, it's a car that for a lot of people is very close to their heart. Yeah, what was I going to come back to? Oh yes, let's have a look at the racing calendar, because we talked about it was a US series last year, but now we go right around the world. So we have a really varied series of tracks as we have a look here. So we start in Okayama in Japan. We kind of do a transatlantic spin then. Certainly this is like a Formula One calendar circa about 3 or 4 years ago with all the long distance flights. Lime Rock Park next in the state of Massachusetts. Then we go to Donington Park, which is most certainly not in the state of Massachusetts. Before we go back to Mid-Ohio, a track that we were at last year. And then the National in Silverstone, which is a bit of an RTA favourite, followed by Virginia International Raceway. This is a track that I absolutely love, VIR. It's a brilliant track. Doesn't get as much love on the iRacing service that it should, in my opinion. And then we go to Brands Hatch Indy. Very, very short circuit. We started the season before last, which was the touring car season. There in Brands Hatch Indy, which was a very short round altogether. And then we finish in Australia in what I think is going to be absolute chaos in Mount Panorama, otherwise affectionately known as Bathurst. That is going to be a very interesting final round. What do you make of the calendar, Evan?
It's definitely an RTA greatest hits calendar for sure. It is the tracks that we seem to go to and have good races at, which is not a bad thing. We're getting to some good tracks. The drivers know every single one of these tracks very well, bar maybe Bathurst, but anyone who races officials or endurance races probably knows it well. Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of learning to the series. We should expect quick times from the offset every evening. And yeah, it's a good calendar. You can't really complain with it. There's some classics, VIR, as you mentioned. Lime Rock usually gives a good race. And the Silverstone National, even if we do go there a lot, is a cracker of a circuit.
Yeah, it is. It's a cracker of a circuit, and Brands Hatch Indy is one of those circuits that always encourages very, very close racing down into Druids and down the hill as well. So yeah, we have a few new names on the grid. Evan, I'm not sure how much you've been able to look into some of these guys, but inevitably there's somebody who I think is new, but then it just turns out that they've been here and just haven't been here for the last couple of years, and I've forgotten about them. So who are the new faces and who are the old new faces?
Well, some new faces, I think, is Ross Wheatley, who is new, and then we have a lot of returning faces for this season. Another new face who I don't actually see on my timing screen now is Ronan Duffy. But we have a lot of returning faces. CGA O'Sullivan is returning, hasn't been here for the guts of 4 or 5 seasons now. Nathan Sweeney returning as well. Nathan, the only one with a bit of real racing experience as far as I can tell. He's racing in the ICC or Junior Minis this year. So we have a returning mini driver. The rest, I wonder will they flock back soon, but we will find out. But a lot of new faces. CJ O'Sullivan had quite a couple good rounds, and when he was racing in his last championship, was very much a midfield driver with a lot of appearances inside the top 10. So keep an eye on CJ O'Sullivan.
Yeah, we also have some returning faces, and I spoke of Evan Walsh Corner, which is where we began our map this morning or this evening, and we will begin every season's calendar map going forward from Evan's Corner. He's posted the fastest time. He's posted a 1:44.356. He was away with the misses for the weekend, but it certainly hasn't helped or hasn't hurt his lap time. So fair play to Evan. He hopefully will be involved in all of the rounds, but obviously that's been his undoing over the last couple of years. And interesting seeing the RIP Paddy on the back of the car. Does somebody maybe want to explain that to us, Evan? Do you know That's great.
Ronan Hederman explained to me before the broadcast that that's actually a very old livery. It was a member of Potato Nation, as far as I can tell. Happy to be corrected on that one, but that's what Ronan told me before the broadcast, that is an old livery, but still. Rest in peace, Paddy, of course. Evan Walsh currently quickest of the times. Conor Melia in second, and Evan Walsh looking to turn up for every round. And I'm not talking about his weekend away.
Yeah, absolutely. Dylan McClemens is gone fastest though, which at least in this outing, is a good thing. He is gone with a 144.3, and some of the times now are starting to roll in. A couple of guys have a couple of off tracks. I noticed Jamal Gandor still hasn't set a time, as hasn't Danny Dempsey or Robbie Callahan. Dara Halley also has 4 off tracks, as does Sean McGoldrick. So these guys are getting a little bit unstuck with this machinery, and while this is a staple for many drivers, so funny seeing so many different iterations of RTA liveries on different cars. A lot of these guys won't have touched one of these cars in quite a while, so it's actually quite interesting to see how they will handle going back to racing in the MX-5s again, because a lot of these guys, obviously, as we said, this forms a major part of the rookies. But once you get into the higher classes, sometimes they're magic, these cars. They're so much fun, but sometimes they can be forgotten about in amongst the more beefy machinery. So, yeah, great to see that. And we're going to get our heads around a few different liveries. Teng Tool sponsored number 13 machine is Diarmid Toomey. Teng Tools, I can tell you, have taken a lot of money off my brother in the last 5 or 6 years or so. The man can't pass by a Teng Tool box without putting it into his basket. So, yeah, that is most certainly where the money they're getting to sponsor Diarmid's cars coming from. I also noticed a cheeky number 7 behind him, and I think that's Conor Melia, and I believe Conor Melia, Conor Melia in the Gulf livery. So yeah, just making mental notes here, and a reminder as well, if you haven't joined us before, to give a subscription, because then that allows you to comment on the proceedings this evening. So we would much appreciate your subscription and indeed your comments as the evening goes on. No doubt, even though we're in a new season, the old regulars will be joining us as ever, waiting for Johnny Hollywood to come in on that one.
Dylan McClemens with a fabulous livery as well. It's a Valentino Rossi livery, as far as I can tell. Yep, there it is. Well, I mean, how could you really miss that? The big 46 on it. One from his Yamaha days, sponsored by Movistar. A good livery. Another good livery is Ken Doyle, who's in a Ling Motorsports scheme, as he usually is. And I discovered at the weekend that Ken makes videos on RTA races. Full 20 to 25 minute episodes on every single round. So check out Ken Doyle's videos. They are really good. Really, really good. I watched about 3 of them in a row, and yeah, fabulous. Fair play to Ken on that one.
Fair play to Ken, because we've had mixed results of people streaming and doing videos on our leagues over the years. So, yeah, great. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Ken, if you want the audio from our commentary, then you have our blessing to rip it and put it over the top of your videos if you so wish. Now
he fully narrates them as well, and face camera as well. So and his own custom graphics too. So it's a proper good experience on the Ken Doyle YouTube channel. I can't recommend it enough. There's a bit of viewing for tomorrow during lunch.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good to get a driver's perspective as well. This is Dave Collier from DC Motorsport. No prizes for guessing what DT stands for. Obviously, David Coulthard, the famous McLaren, got there before Ronan Hederman can jump in. Dave is in 13th position at the moment, 145.3. Sub 44 is what these guys are looking for, but the clock is ticking down now. We've about 5.5 minutes left of this qualifying session. As it stands, Ronan Doherty leads Dylan McClemens. Surprise, surprise. And then we have Diarmid Toomey in amongst all of them. Diarmid having a great qualifying with a 144.3. Then followed by Evan Walsh, Conor Melia, Sean McGoldrick getting a lap in. And David Wardy Ward has joined us again. Great to see him back as well. And his legion of supporters, followed by the aforementioned Ken Doyle in the Ling Motorsport 25. So Ronan and Dylan up the top. It doesn't matter what you put them in, Evan. We keep saying it. You could put them in a soapbox and they'd still probably be the fastest on the grid.
Probably. Ronan Doherty, of course, who's on a streak of 4 second places in the championship. he would like to beat that. I actually found a potentially even worse statistic, and it's for Jordan Kelly, who's finished 11th in 3 of the 4 previous championships. So that's arguably worse. Jordan not here tonight, though. Obviously, he misses a good few races with work commitments. Ronan, no excuse. He's got to try and beat his cousin this season and try and finally win himself an RTA championship once again. One thing that will bode nicely is it's a tin top season without Oscar Mangan, so he has a chance.
Yeah, pity that we don't have Oscar in this season. Actually, I always think that Oscar is somebody that adds a huge amount of pace, and is also a very fair racer. Also, missing. I can't think of his name now. I can't think of his name. Wexford.
Rory O'Shea.
High Prix. That's it. Rory O'Shea. Yeah.
In the
Missing
High
Rory
Prix.
O'Shea in the High Prix. Missing Rory O'Shea in this championship as well. He's usually pretty quick in the saloon cars, so would like to see him join as well. I really think we need to send. We need to try and do some sort of a stream, just you and me, Evan, and just send Ronan out there, and we can just flame him for the good solid hour. Maybe the charity race. Maybe that's what we could do. Maybe we could take turns and hopping in and out of a gantry TV car and just spend the entire time taking the piss out of each other. There's Sean McGoldrick slowing down. There's somebody off in the background. But this is the number 69 car. Nice. David Ward sporting that one. And in the 15, a very politically charged livery, but I think one that most, if not all of us can get behind, is Ronan Duffy. As we said, one of the new ones. He's down the grid at the moment, but there are plenty of opportunities across this championship, particularly as the championship gets on. So I always think that when you enter a championship for the first time, you just got to finish every race. You got to get your feel for it, and the pace will come as well as you get more used to how these guys drive. Obviously, it can be little bit, and I can say this from experience, very intimidating taking part in a league race if you don't have experience of it before. Whether Ronan does or not, I'm not sure. He probably does, but it can be very intimidating. Also, a very politically charged car I want to point out is the number 5 that we're watching now of Danny Dempsey. I wouldn't feel as bad if it wasn't on Garda Síochána car, but
Yeah, Danny, you
I'm
could
not
put guard
really.
on it, like.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about the the forces across the water. I'm sure they do absolutely superb job. I'm sure that Danny isn't attempting to jog and get catcalled like some of his police colleagues in the UK have done this week. I don't know how you're familiar with that story. But it's a good one. Yeah, and he also in the Dempsey clan is Emma, and she is on her outlap for a final lap. She's at 145.188, and thankfully for her, 5 places separate herself and the 961 of Jamal Gandor. So hopefully, if she can stay out of trouble, she will manage to get her nose ahead of Jamal, who looks like he has already had an accident, has he? It looks like that car's already kind of bent up, but I can't be absolutely sure. I think maybe it's just the way it looks. But yeah, so that's where we
on the naughty step.
Yeah, yeah. That's where we are really with the start of the season. So Robbie Callahan up in second place and Dermot Toomey in fourth. Evan, they're certainly trying to get their. They want to get in amongst the action.
Yeah, absolutely. Robbie Callahan, who's always usually a bit of a dark horse in RTA, he's up and in second place, splitting the two GTR cars. Ronan Doherty is quickest of the bunch for now, but Dylan McClements is looking for one last little improvement. That's actually Callahan, who's in the Gulf livery, not Conor Melia. Melia is in the Martini scheme, which I suppose he kind of has to, given his, well, is similar enough to the Martini scheme, given his real race car is painted very similar. Sean McGoldrick down in 7th, David Ward 8th, Ken Doyle 9th, Dara Halley is returning and in 10th. Dara Halley looking to make it a second winning season after winning in the IndyCar. There is Peter McCann also running that same VRA livery, and Dara Halley is not going to be able to win if his front bumper looks like that. I think he's hit a car stopped on circuit, but there's only 15 seconds to go in qualifying, and it's not looking like anyone's going to improve.
No, not at the moment anyway. Certainly not. There's nobody. Some people have gone out of the pits, strangely enough. I'm not sure why that is, but it looks like we're going to reach the end of it. And Ronan Doherty, Dylan McClements, our championship forerunners this time, are joined by Robbie Callahan. So we talked about these old car, or the car that lots of people have used to. Certainly that gives an opportunity for some new names to join us at the front of the grid.
Absolutely, and it is Ronan Doherty on pole position ahead of Robbie Callahan on the front row. And it's Dylan McClements in third, Dermot Toomey in fourth, Evan Walsh in fifth, ahead of Conor Melia in sixth, and it is Sean McGoldrick, David Ward, Ken Doyle, Dara Halley, Peter McCann, CJ O'Sullivan, Emma Dempsey, Dave Collier, Simon Hutchings, Gary Corcoran, Danny Dempsey, Jamal Gandor, Ollie Meredith and Nathan Sweeney in 20th position. Then that little further down is Ronan Duffy, Ross Wheatley and Phil Upson, who is down in 23rd. So Ronan Doherty already matching his pole tally from last season with one pole position. Took pole in the first round in the IndyCar as well. Won 2 races that evening. They'll be looking for something similar.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have a row. Are we having a rolling start or a standing start? Standing start. So no rolling start this time. We had rolling start in the IndyCar. So once the lights go out, we're ready to go here for the opening round of the season. Any predictions for us, Evan?
This should be fun. That's the only prediction I have. I imagine it'll be the same familiar pace setters, but hopefully a little bit of carnage mixed with a good bit of battling. And this Mazda MX-5 will provide. It is 150 horsepower, but trust me, you won't notice it by the end of the evening because the racing action in these is usually classic. The red lights are getting ready to come on then for the first time in the RTA Mazda MX-5 World Series, and we go racing here at Okayama. Good start off the line by number 2, Ronan Doherty. Dylan McClements getting a good launch as well and is looking to slipstream his teammate down to the first corner. Robbie Callahan immediately forced to defend, and McClements is going to look to swing round the outside of turn number 1 and get the run in towards the high-speed S's down the first real straight. David Ward getting a good launch. Dara Halley, great launch, up 2 positions. McClements forces Callahan to the outside, elbows out very early on.
Very early on is Dylan certainly not afraid to throw his weight around because he knows that, oh, it's a big accident. Oh, that's a terrible move by the number 13 and Dermot Toomey. He went down the inside. He was never making that corner. And unfortunately, Dylan, I think if his elbows out was fair enough, but what happened? Another big accident. That's Sean McGoldrick and David Ward coming back across the track. That's going to clip Ken Doyle, who just about manages to miss it. 2 huge accidents there in the opening lap. One of them eminently avoidable, and that is caused by the car you see missing that front bumper. Dermot Toomey went for a move down the inside. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but completely lost it. And these cars do have ABS, so I'm not entirely sure how he managed to get that one so wrong, Evan.
I'm not too sure. Let's have a look at this then. This is Dermot Toomey going for the move on Dylan McClements. He just totally outjudged him. Didn't really see his braking zone. Oh, goes for a lunge. That's a first lap of the season. You've picked up 15 points there. That is a silly move. Dylan's done well to get out of that one, and Dermot Toomey will pick up damage and will pick up a penalty. Here's what happened to Sean McGoldrick, also running a Valentino Rossi livery. This time it's from his Audi. And let's have a look. Does he just get tagged in the rear? Does he do the tagging? There's a little bit of a move over there. And over goes Sean McGoldrick. A very early 2-wheel moment here in Okayama.
Yeah, and that's just, I think it's just too many cooks spoil the broth. I'm not sure if that's the quite the correct analogy here, but just too many cars on track really. They can't, they're all fighting for space, and obviously very tetchy on the opening lap, especially when you've just gone past the scene of an accident. Your adrenaline is high and it's harder for you to, your brain tends to go into a little bit more of a blinkered moment. It's hard to realize what's going on around you. But unfortunately, Dylan Clements is the big loser. But the big winner in all of this is the man that we're on board with right now, El Capitan, Peter McCann in the 22 VRA Racing machine. He's up 6 places to 5th place. Is Peter, and he always seems to. I always feel like no matter what happens, Peter always ends up kind of involved at the upper end of some race, whether it's the feature race, or whether it's the opening 2 races. He always manages to, even if he doesn't have a great start, get himself back up into contention. So fair play to Peter. He's running in the top 5, as is CJ O'Sullivan. He's also up 6 places. Ronan Duffy, I spoke about him earlier with a big move from Dylan. He's lunging down the inside of Ken, and I suspect Dylan is a little bit miffed about that move from Diarmuid Toomey. It'll be interesting to see how... Oh, that's Ken Doyle tagging. I think Dylan McClements. Ken tried to stick it down the inside, and there's somebody gone off there on the outside as well. That's Simon Hutchings. He's lost it himself, so very untidy AF, and even more untidy was the rejoin from the 37 Welshman. Not very clever, so some penalty points already, but it looked like Ken Doyle actually stuck a nose in there on Dylan McClements, but this time it was Doyle who lost out, not McClements, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Dylan deals with Diarmuid Toomey as he approaches him very shortly.
Yeah, I tell you what, if there's one way to bring a man down, they're trying it with Dylan McClements and just sending it on him everywhere this evening. But looking back from Conor Melia to Peter McCann, Peter had quite a good season last season, was 5th in the IndyCar Championship. And did very well indeed. That's Emma Dempsey. Going to move on to Diarmuid Toomey. Emma Dempsey up to the lofty heights of 6th. It would be a best ever RTA result, I think, if she'd finish where she is now currently. CJ O'Sullivan and Dylan McClements side by side. 2 very different inspired liveries. 2 equally quick Mazdas down the straight, and look at this from Dave Collier, using experience as well here in this fight. And now down the inside goes CJ O'Sullivan. He's up to 7th position. Sorry, Dave Collier that little bit behind. That is Ken Doyle involved in it as well, as is Emma Dempsey. And now we're free wide a little bit further back. This is Jamal Gandor, Phil Upson, and that is the 19 and Nathan Sweeney.
Yeah, we'll have to go back and have a look at that. That was Dylan McClements sending it down the inside of CJ and turning him around. I don't know whether CJ managed to recover it, but Dylan has taken the position. How fairly or not, I'm not sure, but definitely sent it down the inside of O'Sullivan, who bump drafted a little bit Diarmuid Toomey. And I was a little bit worried about whether that was going to go in. This is earlier on in the lap. This is coming out of that corner. So we'll try and stay with it if we can. I'm not sure how long this is going to take out of our race coverage because this is quite far back. But CJ, this was an earlier incident that CJ had. I don't think this is the one we were talking about, but Dylan manages to catch up with him. And then I think coming down further on from this now, because what happens here is CJ bump drafts Diarmuid Toomey. You can see Emma there in the distance. Then CJ pulls out in front of Dylan McClements. And then Dylan, in a second, you will see, tries to send it down the inside in the next corner here. And he's not going to get the job done. And instead, he's going to tag CJ. There you go. And actually, it didn't go as badly as I thought it had done, to be totally honest. I thought CJ was going to be sent across Dylan's windscreen, but they managed to get away with it, thanks to Ronan for patiently coming back to that. As we go back to the leaders, and Ronan Doherty has Robbie Callahan right on his back bumper. And Evan, Robbie is very, very quick in this combo. Has he thrown his name into the hat as a potential championship winner?
Robbie Callahan was 1.2 seconds behind Ronan Doherty just a few minutes ago, so this is pure pace from Callahan, unless it was a mistake from Doherty as well. But going off the last lap time, it is significantly slower for Doherty. It's about 0.6 off his personal best, but in terms of the personal bests, Callahan has the quickest of the two anyway. So Robbie Callahan is putting his foot in the fight here in one of Ronan Doherty's most dominant seasons, which was the Formula V season. Callahan managed to steal a win off him, and he's looking to do the same here, using all that curb in the final corner down towards turn number 1. 0.3 of a second separates Doherty and Callahan with 3 minutes to go, and the Gulf Liveries Mazda has a chance here.
Yeah, and this is a nice, I think, length of track for this. Like 140 is around a good lap time for a 10-minute lap. It means you get a good few laps around here, but you don't feel like you're kind of, Brands Hatch Indying, sort of like constantly going around and around and around. David Ward is in on the chat. He says 3 doesn't go into 1. He got sandwiched, unfortunately, lap 1 things. So I don't know, was he caught up in that incident involving Sean McGoldrick or not, but yeah, unfortunately Wardy is into the pits, so he will start at the back of the grid. Here is Ollie Meredith in the Cars inspired number 1 car. Very brave of Ollie to choose the number 1 car in this series, but best of luck to him nonetheless. As we go back to one of our newcomers, Ronan, who started back in 21st place. He was up 6 places. He's dropped a further 3 places. This is quite, as we said, 140 laps, so there are plenty of opportunities to make mistakes here. Now he has Gary Corcoran trying to go down the inside, but Corcoran's going to hold off. He's going to slip in behind the Palestinian-inspired number 15 machine as Ronan dives down into the middle section, this twisty, tight middle section of this track. And he gets that one slightly wrong, which is going to open the door for Corcoran to come in on the top of him. I'm not sure whether we have a B championship this year or not, Evan. We do. So
the places will be determined after this round.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. This obviously gives a great opportunity for these guys to fight for something as Gary takes that place off Ronan Duffy. Now, here's another man looking to make a place up. It's Dylan McClements. Unfortunately, this is the side, or not, this isn't a side of where he got poleaxed in the opening lap, but he did get poleaxed on the opening lap. So he'll have a point to prove here, will Dylan McClements. It's going down the inside of Peter McCann, and Peter will have the inside for the next corner. So he's just going to ease out the number 88 car. It is rather unfortunate that that Dylan didn't go for number 46 in this championship, considering the big 46 that's in the front of his car. That's going to confuse us for the rest of the season, but I'm sure his brother Sean will be thrilled about that. Another man that we haven't seen on the grid, actually, Sean McClements. But yeah, Ronan Doherty holding off Robbie Callahan, and no bump drafting so far, but that slipstream is quite strong as we see the time starting to tumble down. But it looks like Ronan Evan is going to lead going into the final lap.
Yeah, he is, and that's a block pass manoeuvre for Conor Melia on Evan Walsh, and it is going to be Ronan Doherty who'll be leading on to the, or will we even have one lap? We won't.
I take that back. I thought we were going into the final corner, but actually this will be the final lap.
It will be, and it's going to be Ronan Doherty who'll take the win here unless he makes a mistake. Robbie Callahan, not a lot of overtaking opportunities left to go. Dylan McClements looking for one last move on Peter McCann. He's going to try and sell him the dream and go for the switchback manoeuvre, but not quite able to pull it off. It's quite a nice sector to defend in this one. Is there going to be a late lunge for Walsh? There's certainly not going to be for Robbie Callahan. Ronan Doherty has put in the lap time right at the end when he needed to, and it is going to be Ronan Doherty for the second consecutive RTA season who will take the Heat 1 win. It's a drag race behind him for third place between Melia and Walsh, and it will go to Conor Melia, who will take that third spot. Peter McCann will see home Dylan McClements for 5th and 6th, and then it is a right train behind them.
Yeah, and in 7th position, a big shout out to Emma Dempsey. Great result for her. Emma up 6 places from 13th in the number 17 car, finishing in 7th position. I'm giving her a really good opportunity for a potential reverse grid pole as Gary Corcoran crosses the line. Diarmuid Toomey also crossing in 8th after causing all those incidents, and Jamal Gandor back down in 18th. He'll be followed by Ronan Dovey, Sean McGoldrick and Simon Hutchins, who were involved in some of those earlier incidents, and Dara Halley, David Ward finishing in the pits. But Evan, yeah, it's plenty of incident. Only the top 2 finished where they started. Very unfortunate for Dylan McClements to be caught up in that incident, and that's going to put him on the back foot going into race 2.
It is going to put him on the back foot going into race 2, absolutely. He is in 6th now, which is on the reverse grid. So it could be worse. It really could be worse. It could be miles down the order. He's going to have to get elbows out here. He's got a taste of Mazda MX-5 racing very early on, and the leeway maybe left by some in the IndyCar has been removed for the Mazda. So it's a totally different style of racing. Rubbing is racing, as the famous Ricky Bobby once said. Dylan McClements has got a shake and bake. Ronan Doherty wins heat number 1. Robbie Callahan in 2nd. Then it is Conor Melia in 3rd. Evan Walsh in 4th, ahead of Peter McCann, Dylan McClements, Emma Dempsey, Diarmuid Toomey, Dave Collier, CJ O'Sullivan, Ken Doyle, Ollie Meredith, ahead of good friend Danny Dempsey. Then it's Nathan Sweeney, who leads on Ross Wheatley in 15th. Phillips in 16th, and Gary Corcoran in 17th. And it is Jamal Gandor, Ronan Duffy, ahead of Sean McGoldrick, Simon Hutchings, Dara Halley, and unfortunately David Ward. Both Halley and Ward suffering separate issues. Halley's was a disconnect. Ward was a victim of that 3-wide crash.
Yeah, and unfortunately there was a few of those in amongst it. So the stewards will have a bit to have a look at in the final thing. Obviously the last race, it's a bit different. People the championship's already over for many people, but in the first race, you could be sure people will be calling it out. So let's see what happens in the second race. Let's hope we can have a cleaner opening lap.
Hopefully a cleaner opening lap, but hopefully an equally good race, as we are looking at Ronan Doherty and Dylan McClements, or not Dylan McClements, apologies. Wow, that just rolled off the tongue. Robbie Callahan on the front row as we go racing here in Okayama. Ronan Doherty getting away well. Excellent start for Ken Doyle, already up a position. Doherty going to be clinging in towards the first corner. They're weaving and wobbling their way through the right-hand kink behind, but it is mostly clean. The two teammates, Evan Walsh and Peter McCann, going to go side by side here. And it is going to be Walsh who leads through the leash man. Dylan McClements hot on the heels of Peter McCann, and he's going to go for the spot here down towards the hairpin. This is where it all went wrong for McClements on the opening lap of the first race. He's going to be the one attacking this time round. Last of the late breakers for Dylan McClements. He's up, he's through. McCann forced to the outside line.
From the opportunity as well in that one. No great movers apart from Gary Corcoran. He's down 3 places. Ronan Duffy's down to 4 places, so I don't know that he haven't. No, didn't have an accident. I think he just got knocked down there. I can see him down the back. Yeah, McGoldrick up 7, which is an absolutely superb start. And look at this. This is a move by Robbie Callahan back on Conor Melia. He's saying, you're not having it that easy, my brother. I've worked this hard enough to get that second place. And speaking of moves, here is Dylan McClements putting all kinds of pressure under Evan Walsh here, and he's stuck in a bit of a VRA sandwich here is Dylan McClements. Danny Dempsey getting a yellow flag, which is the first time I've ever seen that on the overlay, so I'm not entirely sure what that means for him. And Dempsey down to 8th position is Emma. She dropped 1 place to Dermot Toomey, but still in a very comfortable position, and another, as I said, a great result in the opening race from the 17 machine. So she's certainly getting to grips with these cars early. Now back to the front. Ronan Doherty leads. Robbie Callahan, who couldn't get past him last time. Let's see what he tries to do this time. He's Conor Melia up his Jaxie as well. He's going to have to think about that. And then a bit of a break between them and Evan Walsh. And a big move from Callahan. Callahan trying to send it down the inside, but Ronan Doherty laid on the brakes, covers it off. That's good driving from the number 2 car. I thought that Callahan was going to kind of push the pass there a little bit, but getting the job done. As speaking of, there is David Coulthard, aka Dave Collier, getting 9th position from Ken Doyle.
Dave Collier's livery is too close to Jamal Gandor's for my liking. That is a Jamal Gandor Simsa livery, if I've ever seen one, but the Simsa livery is defending from CJ O'Sullivan and Ken Doyle, and O'Sullivan and Doyle going to look side by side here, and it's going to be CJ O'Sullivan who's forced to the outside. A little bit of a nudge between the two, but all is good, heading down the back straight in towards the right hand hairpin. It's going to be a lunge for Dylan McClements here on Evan Walsh. I think there is. Breaks a lot later than the tip man, and that is a beautiful move from Dylan McClements. Surprised he got his apex as well as he did. Ollie Meredith's got a spot as well. He's now going to involve himself in the Doyle O'Sullivan fight. CJ O'Sullivan still on the inside, very close between the two, close between the Ling Motorsports car and O'Sullivan, and still Ken Doyle around the outside. Great racing between the two. Meredith now involved in this one, as is Sean McGoldrick. 2 by 2 they go into the left-hander. Who's going to get in front? It is CJ O'Sullivan, and Meredith, opportunistic, capitalises on Doyle going on the outside. Sean McGoldrick, the Oxford resident, follows him through.
Yeah, CJ O'Sullivan, it's been a while since he's been involved, but he's certainly made his stamp on the series early. A superb set of corners there from O'Sullivan, and a great racing between himself and Ken Doyle, as O'Sullivan just slightly loses it there on the backside of that corner. Was it O'Sullivan? Maybe not. Somebody lost it anyway coming out of the final turn. They might lose some places, and speaking of losing places, Conor Melia is putting all kinds of pressure on Robbie Callahan, but Callahan's going to have the inside of the corner for the next one, and behind him is Dylan McClements, who's just waiting for an opportunity to pounce here. He's all over the back of Conor Melia in the 7 machine here. This is, you see some of the clips from the MX-5 Cup competitions in the IMSA stuff. People live and breathe this stuff. It's really superb. Back to basics racing, and that's a big tip in the back of Sean McGoldrick from Ken Doyle. McGoldrick, I don't know that Doyle gets surprised by McGoldrick on the brakes, but manages to doesn't manage, should I say, to avoid him, turns him round, and that's another instance for our stewards to look at. Let's see if Robbie Callan can stick his nose in the inside of Ronan Darty. No, he's going to collide, and there's three of them going wide, and it's actually Callahan who loses out. The three of them coming together, three doesn't go into one, and as we found out from Morty earlier on, that just doesn't quite work out, as in amongst that Peter McCann, Evan Walsh gets it wrong on the outside of the corner, which allows Dylan McClements through, and now McClements is into second. We're going to have a look at that again and see, Evan. It would all happen quite quickly, but the three of them seem to take that corner with three different lines, which all just converged in the same space on the entry to the next.
I'd like to have a look at both of them incidents again, actually. We're going to start with the Dylan McClements, Conor Melia, Robbie Callahan one, and McClements clips Conor. Do they actually even touch Robbie?
I think Melia clips McClements, and then that clips him into Robbie Callahan. Yeah, that's what it looked like to me.
Can we have a look potentially on board one of the two cars, Ronan? Because you can't really see the contact with Callahan. Maybe we have a look at Conor Melia's and we'll see.
Yeah, maybe have a look on board.
Let's have a look here with this. So,
bonk.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, McClements is the one who hits Callahan, but the initial contact is between Melia and McClements. That's a very difficult one to judge.
Yeah, it's an unlucky one as well. I suppose Melia is the last one into the corner, and he is the one that creates the contact, but whether there's enough there for it to really be anything other than a racing incident, I think it'll be hard for the stewards to be overly punishable there. Emma Dempsey slipped back to 8th position now. Yeah, unfortunate for Robbie Callahan, because obviously he's been very much around the upper echelons of this, but actually that second contact saved Dylan McClements, because if McClements hadn't gone into Callahan, he would have been speared off the track in the exact same way that Callahan did. So obviously Robbie picked up quite a bit of damage in that as well. So he's gone into the pits, and unfortunately that's his consolation race more than likely over. And if he's joined by a few others as well. Phil Upson is coming out of the pits, but Dara Halley has a meatball flag, and Danny Dempsey's in there as well. I suspect Danny's been there for quite some time, because he's technically several laps behind. No, he's not technically, but he is several laps behind the leaders. Ken Doyle involved in a bit of an earlier rubbing, and indeed doing the same with Simon Hutchings here, who's made his way back up. Simon doing well after losing it himself on the outside of a turn, which caused him to spear into an inside wall, rendering him motionless for the rest of the opening race. But here's Evan Walsh. He's going to try and make a move on Conor Melia, and he has the inside and he gets it done, does Evan, and steps on the brakes in the middle of the apex for good measure, just to make sure that Conor can't catch him on the undercut. So here are two guys who know each other very, very well, have been racing together a very long time, and it looks, Evan, like we've got two battles on our hands. We've got the battle from the last two seasons contenders, and indeed two sets of previous RTA champions.
Has Conor Melia ever won a championship?
I feel like
I don't think he has. Has he?
Oh, well then, two regular
people.
RTA drivers. Yes. Here are two people driving two cars. Right, to go fast.
Here is two of the racers of all time battling in towards the hairpin. It is Evan Walsh who leads Conor Melia. Oh, that's a mistake for Walsh. He's had a wobble and a half there. Does well to salvage it, but definitely has lost some time. And Conor Melia now is going to go for the move, almost down the inside. Number 7 for Conor Melia, 14 for Evan Walsh. Conor Melia is looking to cut Walsh's opportunities in half, but not able to get down the inside just yet. McCann and Toomey fighting for 5th place as well. David Ward is up 14 spots in this race. Simon Hutchings up 11. So that goes to show how well this race has gone for those two and how disappointing it has been for others. But 8 minutes and 40 into this one, still plenty of time to go. It's been action-packed.
Yeah, it has been. To quote Mitchell and Webb skit, that battle is a battle that's already being described as on this Wednesday. So Ronan and Dylan battling it out at the front of the pack, and that mistake from Walsh has pushed now the rest of the field back to almost 4 seconds behind these two. Robbie Callahan's loss in this race is a great one, I have to say, because these two guys have been battling at the top in the last season, but I suspect Robbie will have something to say over the course of this championship, and I really hope that accident doesn't have a big bearing on his season. Of course, drop rounds again, we must take that into account. Here's CJ O'Sullivan. He is in 12th position at the moment. A little knock off the back of Ollie Meredith's rear bumper, and then gets a touch from Ken Doyle as well. And I suspect those two may be trading paints as the race goes on. Yeah, you see what I did there? See what I did there? Yeah, Simon Hutchins up. I know you mentioned it before, Evan, but Simon Hutchins is up 11 places and David Ward is up 14 places. So there's obviously opportunities in this final race for people to get back in it. So if Robbie can get up a few places over the course of this race, he may be able to launch an outside chance of finishing in the top 5 or 6 in the final race, which would at least some way recover his race as Peter McCann goes down the inside, and not quite happening for the Leashman. This is an all Leinster battle between himself and Conor Melia. Not quite panning out for Peter McCann, but McCann holding his own. He started in 5th, and that is where he lies currently. As a matter of fact, apart from himself, Ronan Doherty and Nathan Sweeney in 14th, everybody else in this grid has swapped places from where they began.
It's the type of racing we expected, but we're also pleasantly surprised with in the MX-5s. It is a good battle for third here. There's battles spread it all throughout the field. Disappointing race for Halley and Dempsey once again, who've ended up in the pit lane, but battle for the lead still on between Doherty and McClemens. This isn't quite the battle for the lead. This is the battle between CJ and Sullivan and Ken Doyle, who have been knocking 7 shades of out of each other this race so far. And it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top. CJ O'Sullivan and Ken Doyle, 2 drivers who in previous RTA seasons have snuck themselves into the top 10. I definitely don't expect them to be in the B series, but contending for a top 10 in the championship, certainly.
Yeah, and everybody has their own ambitions across these championships. That's what makes it so great. As a big dive bomb from Peter McCann. Certainly not afraid to get stuck in, is Peter, and he's managed to cover off the outsides. That's a good move there from the 22 car. Must feel like he's losing time on Conor Melia, because he's tried a couple of what may be called adventurous overtakes or overtaking attempts there in the last lap. So Peter McCann is knocking around. I suspect an automated pit crew in his ear is giving him grief about how he's stuck behind somebody and he needs to pass. And Peter certainly taking crew chief's advice to heart. Now, Nathan Sweeney seems to be in trouble in the background. That looks like it is Ken Doyle, who's in all kinds of trouble in the Ling Motorsport car. Has himself and CJ O'Sullivan's bloody battle come to an end, and it looks like Ken has come off the worst side of it. Let's see whether O'Sullivan was involved in that or whether Doyle inflicted the damage all by himself.
Let's have a look at this one then. Ken Doyle behind. He's right. Oh, it's all on his own. All on his own. Got it way wrong. Hits the softer barrier, then decides he fancies concrete, and there goes someone's front wing. It's Simon Hutchins. Oh, it's back. It's back. Regeneration. It is the resurrection of Bumper returning to RTA, and someone has just got away with one.
Yeah. I would say, you know, on God closes the door, he opens the window, because for Simon Hutchins there, he didn't deserve to be in that situation in the first place. So thankfully he managed to get it back. Here is Diarmuid Toomey. Now, Diarmuid obviously involved in first lap shenanigans, and there's more shenanigans up ahead of these two, as I see Evan Walsh trying to make a move on Conor Melia. So Melia's got back ahead of Peter McCann. Something happened there between the two of them in the meantime, and now Melia's going to try down the inside of Evan Walsh. He just about avoids contact, and it's all a little bit sketchy, Evan. There's a lot of kind of swapping around and kind of ambitious moves into the corner. That's another one as Melia bonks at the back of Evan Walsh's number 14 machine, and Evan's getting a push out of the corner here from Melia, which is a little bit naughty, and I think the temperature is rising just a little bit here in Okayama.
Yeah, 1 lap to go. This is a tasty fight between these two, and the temperature literally being put on the screen by Ronan Hederman, as Evan Walsh and Conor Melia go battling for one last lap here. This has been a great fight. If something goes wrong between these two, Peter McCann, well, I was going to say he's sitting waiting, but evidently not, goes for the move on Conor Melia. Dermot Toomey still ahead of Dave Collier. This could go anyway, really. And Conor Melia now has the run on the VRA Racing car in front of Evan Walsh, who has been on an RTA podium for quite some time, racing lines like that, and he won't be. Conor Melia almost using the grass, going for the outside line into the hairpin. It's the inside line for the S's, though. Is he going to be forced round the outside here? He's ran a little bit wide off his apex. Peter McCann senses an opportunity to go for the move down the inside. He will do that. He will go for it. And he will try and get in front. Battle for the race lead as well. Dylan McClemens going front on Ronan Doherty. We have snakes left, right and centre. Someone call St. Patrick as Dylan McClemens not quite able to make the move stick. Here comes McCann, Walsh and Melia once again. Conor Melia trying it round the outside. Peter McCann is looking for any avenue to open up. He is stuck in a cul-de-sac of Moustas here at Okayama. Cannot find a way through.
Yeah, snakes and ladders, because if you manage to pull it off, then you're the hero. But if things go wrong, you could go all the way down to square number one while somebody else wins the game. That Ronan Doherty McClemens battle is continuing up ahead, but this is a really feisty one between three lads who know each other exceptionally well. Dermot Toomey's just staying out of it. I think that's a good move from Toomey, because this could all end in tears as we head down into the final corner. But in front, it's Ronan Doherty who crosses the line. He doesn't want to be the bridesmaid no longer. 4 series in a row where he's finished in second place, but he takes the race win and crosses the line. Can Evan Walsh get ahead of Conor Melia? They've all strung out left, right and centre as Evan desperately tries to break the toe. He does it. Clonmel man will be celebrating with Clonmel champagne in the second race. Clonmel Chardonnay, should I say. He manages to cross the line and get his first RTA podium in quite some time. CJ O'Sullivan finishing 13th, just behind Sean McGoldrick. A drag race to the line there between those two. And Ronan Duffy up 2 places to finish in 17th, finishing just behind Nathan Sweeney, down 2 positions. And once again, David Ward, 15 places he gained up to 8th position, and he will start on pole in our feature race.
Very interesting, because David Ward seems to have a good pace here. What's Jamal done then? Let's have a look into the double left-handers. We're waiting. Okay, that's... well, I mean, it's the rookie car.
You said that with all the air of a parent being dragged into school to see the principal for the 4th time this term. Oh, what's he done now then? You know, what's it this time? Who's he poked? What's he written on the wall? Go on, tell me. I can't defend it.
Do you want to know what I reckon Jamal... Jamal is the type of student, he's not causing major trouble. But, you know, if you get a ruler and you hold it up to the window and it, creates, a dot of light on the wall and you just flick it at the teacher, that's the kind of stuff Jamal would get up to in school, I reckon.
Just niggly
yeah,
stuff.
Just little elbows at the teacher.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Jamal is a lot older than both of us, by the way, just for the record.
Yeah, and a lot wiser as well. Right, yeah. Okay, well, we have 3 lads in our commentary box who are older than Evan, I suspect, but I don't know if they're older than I am, but maybe we'll be able to ask them. Ronan Doherty, well, Dylan is younger than you, sorry. But Ronan Doherty joins me in the commentary booth for our race winner on the second race. So Ronan, once again joining us. Thank you very much for your continued presence. 4 seasons in a row now you've been the bridesmaid. It's about time you become the bride.
Oh yeah, well sure, I don't know. I'm happy enough with how the night's going anyway. I always kind of get a faster start than most of the lads, just adapting, and then I tend to struggle in terms of putting on the laps and finding the nuances in the cars and just getting them last couple tenths. So it's kind of usual I do well in the first weekend.
And Robbie Callahan you were battling with, he seems to have really good pace in this car, but yourself and Dylan had a good old ding-dong battle near the end. Were you afraid that Dylan might send it into the final corner? Because obviously got taken out in the opening race from Dermot Toomey.
No, I think the final corner is quite hard overtaking unless you're right behind someone. But I know Dalton is a very, very clean driver. I just knew I kind of had to defend into the hairpins, and then that was me. So yeah.
And finally, the pressing question everyone wants to know: year of birth, Ronan Doherty.
Is this a debate?
No, it's a question.
2003,
Ah,
maybe.
yeah, well older than you. Okay, go
Uh,
on. Talk to you soon, Ronan. Good luck.
thanks, lads.
So there you go. Three lads who are definitely younger than me.
Ronan's 22. What?
Yeah, I know. With all the airs and graces of a 23-year-old. Evan, you're joined by Dylan McClemens.
Dylan, welcome back. No wins for you tonight. Yet, big yet. We'll start with the incident from heat number 1. Were you even expecting it?
Well, not really. I knew I was battling with I can't remember his name. I think Robbie or someone. And then I turned into the corner, knew he wouldn't send it from that far back, and then just got hit there and didn't really know what happened.
You fought back nicely, some great battles. Obviously, single seaters are sort of your forte. Are you enjoying the Mazda so far?
Yeah, I mean, the last 10 minutes of practice, it didn't like click with it, and I know what to do most laps, and I'm starting to get the grips of it early enough because usually it kicks me a couple of races in.
And then, given your livery, thoughts on the 2025 MotoGP season?
Marquez needs to stop somehow, but I mean, it's not bad saying Marquez win, but I don't know.
A lot of Rossi fans might have a debt warrant for you now. But Dylan, congratulations on the 2 podiums so far, and all going well. We'll speak to you in a bit.
Cheers, everyone. See ya.
And now it is the pride of Tipperary with Kevin Galvin.
Clonmel Chardonnay will be out in force. Evan, you had to fight desperately hard to that podium. You must have really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was good fun. I was definitely the cork in the bottle there for those last probably 4 laps. I was really starting to struggle with turning. Connor was starting to give out to me for braking so much through some corners, but no, I'm delighted to be fair. I haven't really been in the rig at all since the BTCC Championship, so nice to be back in some bit on pace straight away.
Brilliant. Speaking of cork in the bottle, how's the weekend?
Very good. Last
Good.
weekend.
Yeah. I'll just keep it up with you on Instagram. Come here. Look, it's the MX-5s. It's an interesting choice to go back to them. But I suppose they're a car that, like, we all know, we all drove. It's like the first car that most people would have driven in the series. So is it kind of nice to, when you talk about, like, we drove the Indy cars and we've driven tin tops and that, is it nice to kind of come back to basics and drive what's a real kind of driving car, and a car that so many people like will have an experience of driving in real life as well.
To be fair, like, it's changed a lot from when I was kind of in the rookies back. God, that's going back probably 4 or 5 years ago now, I'd say at this stage. It has changed a lot with the tire model. I actually nearly preferred it before. I find it's very dodgy on the first kind of lap and a bit. But it's nice to be back in a tin top, even though it's a convertible. But it's nice to be back in something that you can kind of race and battle hard in, as opposed to the single seaters for a change.
Yeah, absolutely. And final question, and I think the burning question on everyone's lips: how much will you get to race this season? Because unfortunately, you've kind of been the downfall. That's been your downfall, just not being around every week.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be here for all the rounds. I'm not sure. I'm starting a new job next month, so again, I don't know what way that's going to affect it now at the moment. But fingers crossed, I'll be able to make the whole season, all going well.
Absolutely. Well, we all hope so. And Evan, congratulations not only on your third place finish, but the first time I've got to congratulate you on your outstanding performances in the ZTEC Championship thus far this year. So much congratulations for that, and looking forward to seeing you on grids, both virtual and real, in the very near future.
Cheers, lads.
So that was Evan Walsh. The Motorsport.e sponsored, one of those Motorsports.e sponsored drivers in the CTEC Championship, and third place finish. Now we go to our final race.
We do. We head into it very quickly. It's David Ward, Dave Collier, front row, Toomey McCann, Amelia Walsh, McClement Starty, your reverse grid. Then it's Emmett MC, Simon Hutchings, Ollie Meredith, Sean McGoldrick, CJ O'Sullivan, Gary Corcoran, and Ross Wheatley. To round out your top 15, the lights are coming on here. It's a full 20-minute feature race at Okayama, and for the final time in round number 1. Racing, brilliant launch, Dave Collier. David Ward is bogged down, and Collier is going to be immediately looking for the move down into the first corner. Dermot Toomey slipstreaming the new race leader in towards the first section of bends. Ward is going to be able to hang it around the outside. You can do that through turn number 1 at Okayama. It's very much possible, and it is Dave Collier who is in the race lead. Conor Melia now once again fighting with McCann, with Evan Walsh, and Dylan McClements is involved in this one as well. McClements, you can just see with the yellow spokes up at the side of his mirrors, and now there is battling with himself and Ronan Doherty. Doherty on his inside, so is Evan Walsh, and there's 2 by 2 exiting. This is going to be a slipstream fest.
Very tight as desperation starts to kick in from some of these guys to try and get up near the front as soon as they can. David Ward, we talked about earlier, he's great pace. He's pulling out from behind Dave Collier. He's going to try and make a move here, and he gets the move done in the 69 machine. That's great work from Dave Wardy. Ward unfortunately got caught out in the opening race, but certainly showing some superb pace in these MX-5s cars. So let's see if he can hold on to that one as the rest scrap in here behind. Here's Dermot Toomey, and a little rub it between Doherty, Walsh and McClements, all of them managing to just about survive. Emma Dempsey pokes her head out just to make sure that the traffic ahead is still there, as Evan tries to keep Dylan McClements keen on his toes as a gap starts to appear now between Conor Melia and McClements. Just some of the losers thus far: Nathan Sweeney, Ross Reetley, Ronan Duffy down, Jamal Gandor down 5 places, and in the pits I think Ken Doyle also has a meatball flag. Oh, that's sideways, that's somebody sideways in the background. That's a big accident. That's Ronan Doherty. That is Ronan Doherty, and that's Simon Hutchings just managing to get back to the pits in time. Big accident there. That was somebody going sideways, and the battle continues. Here's CJ O'Sullivan getting in a sandwich.
Oh no.
And that is Tokyo Drift from Robbie Callahan behind. And that all ends up very messy. Joining them will be Danny Dempsey now in the police car to tell everybody off and hand out the appropriate fines and points.
Let's have a look at this one then. It is a controversial Gantry TV replay. We're looking at Ronan Doherty and Dermot Toomey side by side, and Toomey is going to be under a close eye from the stewards already. Doherty said it wasn't possible to dive down the inside. He's lost it all on his own. Lost it all on his own. Then ricochets back in front of Simon Hutchings. Great to see the first response from Angarda Shiakana to fly onto the scene of that one, and Ronan Doherty causing that all under his own accord. A very rare mistake.
No, it definitely isn't Angarda Shiakana, because he did actually arrive.
Not no, but it sounded better.
Yeah. Obviously we endorse our own. I don't even need to say that. Nobody's watching anyway. CJ O'Sullivan on the inside.
Two.
Dave Collier is holding up a train consisting of Peter McCann, Conor Melia, Dylan McClements, and Evan Walsh. Now, where have we heard those 4 names before? Melia putting under pressure the number 22 of Peter McCann, and I suspect that VRA need to sort out a new livery for themselves fairly shortly. But yeah, that was a very unfortunate run. Ronan just losing it all by himself, and then the car just completely fishtailing on itself. Unfortunately, Simon Hutchins, just the very unfortunate. He's like the Larry Duff of that whole accident. He had absolutely nothing to do, and yet somehow still managed to be taken out. Peter McCann now is under pressure here from Conor Melia. Let's see if McCann can make it stick, because it looks like Melia is going to have the inside into the next corner. Behind them is Dylan McClements. He is just waiting for an accident between these two. We're on board now with McClements in the 88 machine as Melia breaks the latest, and then McCann opens the door for McClements, who touches the rear corner of McCann, and both of them just about managed to survive. That is exactly where McClements saw his race 1 go up in smoke. So very interesting to see the Antrim man once again try and move down the inside. But here is Peter McCann. He's going to try and move down the inside. He decides to back off. And in front of all that, Dave Collier is still trying to hold on to what would be really, really good points in this championship.
What a start to this race. Simon Hutchings, unfortunately, the innocent victim once again, and is way down, or he's not actually too far down this one. He's only in 15th, albeit 38 seconds behind the field, but that goes to show how much has gone wrong so far. David Ward, oh no, doesn't lead by a lot, definitely doesn't lead by a lot, and he's lost the lead. That was a comment curse before I even finished the sentence.
Well, you're
David,
so cursed. You're so cursed. You just said his name and he manages to stack it. You didn't even just say anything good about him. You just simply the mention of his name was enough.
Hogwarts, I am available.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure they take you. There is Wardy Ward, and yeah, just too much speed, and the back end carrying more speed than the front end, which is never what you want in a race car attempting to move in a forward direction. And unfortunately, the number 69 car ends up doing a 96 and turning itself around. Conor Melia now leading. Yeah, no, I kept it rather PG for the opening round anyway. I mean, I did say cork in a bottle, so let's not even go there. Conor Melia leading. Dave Collier still in. Oh, oh, Dave Collier. Just a guttural instinctive sound. Oh no, that's Dylan McClements. Oh, McClements just get taken out in that. Oh, Dylan. It's just not his night for Dylan McClements, despite all of the great running. Unfortunately, other people's decisions and incidents he's been caught up in. Obviously, that's not Dave Collier's fault. It's just a mistake from Dave Collier. But unfortunately, it's cost Dylan dearly once again. Evan, and one of our championship contenders, has a drop round to forget. Now, mind you, what happened in the last series when he dropped so many points through the drop rounds, maybe it's just as well he has one bad round out of the way now and he can actually use a proper drop round this season.
Yeah, and he's a meatball flag as well, so he's going to have to come into the pit lane. What an opportunity this is for Peter McCann and Conor Melia. Peter McCann won Heat 3 in round 1 last season in the IndyCar at Road America, and Conor Melia would have loved to win that round at his favourite track. They're going to be battling for the win here again. What a return to RTA racing it would be for Evan Walsh if he was able to make the move as whoop, the police sirens go. Danny Dempsey looking to get past Dave Collier down towards turn number 1 as a police vehicle is fighting with a knockoff Jamal, who is fighting with Lightning McQueen, only an RTA virtual motorsport, as Danny Dempsey has got the move done.
Yes, indeed. It's like something out of a child's go-kart circuit.
You know the little maps or little floor mats on the floor with the little dinky cars. That's what this is.
I was actually thinking of those carousels where they all have different. I'm waiting for somebody to go by on a unicorn next. Is Danny going to book Dave Collier for counterfeit livery?
He's not playing hurling.
That's what he might be doing, because it's
yellow card.
It's just poor. Right. Ollie Meredith looks like he's going to be the next to be feel the long arm of the law, but he's going to try and hold off Danny Dempsey as much as he can. Will Dempsey make a move down the inside? He does, and it's rather speculative, and he doesn't give Ollie a huge amount of the road, I have to say. Definitely get penalty points for that. I don't think that's very good. I have to say there'll definitely be something in with the ombudsman for that move. But as it stands, the stewards are going to have a look at it. Now back to the front, and Peter McCann and Conor Melia are having a great old battle here. We still have 11 minutes left of this final race. Evan Walsh is a good bit behind, so this is going to give these guys an opportunity to battle it out. Melia is faster overall and has been over the last couple of laps. But McCann made up some time in the last lap. That is lap number 6, 2 tenths or 2.5 tenths. So he's back on the tail of Conor Melia here. And we saw some fairly robust attempts at overtaking Melia in the last race from Peter McCann, who felt like he was being held up by the number 7 car. Let's see if Peter is quite as brave when it's all on the line for a final race win. He is a specialist at these, though, Evan, I would have to say, Peter McCann.
Yeah, these liveries aren't random enough, given what we've seen. But Peter McCann is brilliant in situations like this, really capitalises when opportunities arise, and I'd say he's won more Heat 3s than he has Heat 1s and 2s combined. He's looking for the move in towards the hairpin. No, just biding his time. He's going to follow around Conor Melia for a bit and maybe go for a late move, similar to the slipstream tactics that we saw in some of our single-seater races around here. Here we go then. Dave Collier and Robbie Callahan in a police chase with Lightning McQueen behind as well. And Ollie Meredith down the inside of Danny Dempsey. Danny leaves him an awful lot of room. That's a nice move from Ollie Meredith. Just put the fear into the police, and Ollie has got the job done.
Well,
Holy
sorry.
mother.
I thought that was a different siren. I'm not going to lie. I thought that was going to be a different siren. I was doing it for Danny
I can
Dempsey.
feel my
This is
heartbeat.
what Danny Dempsey. Oh no, Danny Dempsey! Oh, Danny, what are you doing to me, son? He has cleaned out Ollie Meredith, and the two Carters go toe to toe once again as Ronan Doherty, having absolutely destroyed Simon Hutchings' front end earlier on, manages to overtake him in a much cleaner way this time around. I think Simon will just be saying, please leave, get away from me. I do not want you to do that again. Evan Walsh has now been gapped a little bit by those two, and he's fallen into the clutches of Diarmuid Toomey. Diarmuid has seen a lot of action this evening, for good and for bad. So the number 13 car still has an opportunity to get on the step of the podium. Let's see if he can do it. I'm just going to have a quick look there, Evan. Sean McGoldrick has reported David Ward for the race 1 lap 1 incident, and also Ken Doyle for the race 2 lap 3 incident. He's the only one thus far to put in an incident report to the stewards. So we shall see what else comes out of these last couple of races, because they have been very, very tight.
There'll be a few. There certainly will be a few for Officer Dempsey to report to, as David Ward is looking to recover from his earlier spin. And thankfully didn't pick up any damage or anything that spin. It was just a little mistake. And look, he's still in the fight for a podium. That's Evan Walsh in front of Diarmuid Toomey. David Ward still in the fight for third here. Picked up a couple of podiums last season. And in the IndyCar was very quick on the ovals. And he's doing well here in the Masters.
He is? Sorry, I yawned. Conor Melia is front leading.
I had braced for another
2
siren.
tenths. No. If only I was thinking of doing that. Okay, enough. Conor Melia leading Peter McCann. Peter is gaining on Conor, but he hasn't managed to make the move yet. He's holding his time as David Ward now goes into 4th position. So despite having spun earlier on, he's right back amongst it as David. And he is very clearly very quick in these cars. I'm just checking to see, does he have the fastest lap time thus far? Best 44.1 is Conor Melia. And where's David Ward? 44.4. So not the fastest on track, but it doesn't come up in purple on the timing screen.
I thought he used to.
Yeah, so did I. STK. It's no good. It's no good.
I might just have Speed Hive engraved in my brain, but I thought it came up purple. Anyways, that's a bit of a moot point. But as Conor Melia is still in the race lead, Peter McCann still chasing down. Not really going for an attempt, is Peter.
Did you say Speed Hive?
Yeah.
Is that a software?
It's for karting.
Sounds like the nickname. It sounds like the nickname of a crack den. Let's go back to the Speed Hive and stock up on the goods. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, what a name! What a name for a piece of software.
It's my lap Speed Hive.
Speed Hive. That's like a nickname of a crack den. Honestly, does. Right, these two are having plenty of crack, but not in that way. Because every time we get to the front straight, Peter is catching up with Conor Melia, but then he never quite makes that pass, and he is running out of time. I mean, we only have about 5.5 minutes left of this race, so if Peter is to make a move, he's gonna have to make it move in the next certainly lap or two. I've officially broken Evan. As here is Danny Dempsey making a move on. Oh, what a move from the policeman.
I feel
He's
like I'm
into
on
9th position. As David Ward gets through into 3rd position. David Ward is flying it here. He's certainly on speed because he is running away with this 3rd position. And I dare say, 2.3 seconds. He may even have something to say about this winner's positions, particularly if these two continue to tangle or Peter starts to get involved with Evan. With Conor Melia. No, Sean McGoldrick is behind Emma Dempsey, and oh no,
Oh,
oh
Dave.
no, oh no, oh, oh, Danny Dempsey. Oh dear, what's happened?
Officer down!
We need backup. This is like something out of a Californian speed chase. What's happened here? 2 by 2, they go down the freeway, and somebody has a vendetta, and all of a sudden,
How's the car rolled from that?
Ronan's
Ronan's saying he has to remove the soundboard. Oh, so that's Dave Collier gone again, so that's more damage for Collier. Very disappointing, as here is Emma Dempsey going for, Sean McGoldrick overtaking Emma Dempsey. As I still don't know what that yellow flag is for that keeps popping up.
Presumptuous for you to presume that Sean McGoldrick is going to. Oh no, he has actually overtaken Emma Dempsey. Forget that. Yeah, it is an accident that was entirely, on a serious note, that was an entirely avoidable accident. All you have to do is drive in a straight line, lads. But unfortunately, they moved slightly close together, and we had an absolutely enormous accident. Now, David Ward has fallen back into the clutches of Evan Walsh. I put the kibosh on him this time because I was saying that he could put pressure on Peter McCann. Now, he is closing the gap all the time on McCann, so Evan Walsh is just keeping him keen here, as is Diarmuid Toomey behind the two of them. The Teng Tools Demon 13 car. I'm sure Dylan McClements would agree with that. Now, Wardy taking a very defensive line going into this corner. He's going to stick to the inside for the next one as well. This is the infield section of this 3.7 kilometer track. Revolver is the name of that corner, that little left-hander, which I'm a big fan of. And number 7 is Piper. And we head down to Redmond now, turn number 8, followed by Hobbs, Mike Knight corner, and then number 11. Do you want to guess what the name of the corner of the last corner is?
I'm going to guess it's the last corner.
It's last corner. Yeah. Correct. Ding, ding, ding.
Good old Japanese circus. I'm pretty sure it's the same in Suzuka. And there's also the hairpin called Hairpin in Suzuka as well.
There's a hairpin here called Hairpin as well, which I really appreciate. No need for any fancy names. It's just tell us what it is. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Hairpin. Right. Evan Walsh appears to...
That's exactly what it says in the tin.
Don't know why Evan was deciding to flash. I wonder was Evan cleaning his windscreen or something there. He seemed to have the wipers going, but he's turned them off again. Time is now running out for Peter McCann, lads. I hate to say it, but 2 minutes left. There's not going to be a huge amount more opportunities for the number 22 car to have a go off Conor Melia here. And I thought that Peter would start to be a little bit more adventurous in his overtaking maneuvers, but he's being exceptionally patient here, Evan. Unusually patient, I would say.
Yeah, very unusual. Like, that's a bump draft. That's a bump draft. Funnily enough, last time we were here in Okayama, Ronan Darty and Jordan Kelly bump drafted each other in Formula Fords. I remember that fondly down that straight.
I remember that, yeah.
Peter McCann, yeah, unless he's going to wait until the last minute to go for a move, unless this is tactical that those two keep their gap and now they have enough time to battle in the last lap. But yeah, weird enough tactics, but seems to be working. Interesting to see if McCann goes for a race-winning move.
That was the day I found out that Formula Vs can bump draft in real life as well, which I was just totally shocked by, that you would actually attempt to bump draft in real life in a Formula V when you have quite literally just a little flimsy tub to protect you if anything goes wrong. We will take a final lap, so we will take a lap 12 in this instance as Conor Melia rounds last corner and goes across the finish line for the very last penultimate time. I was going to say the last time, but obviously not the last time because it's the second last lap. Anyway, Peter McCann is all over the back of him. Now will he try a move? No, another bonk in the backside of Conor Melia. That sounded worse than it meant to. Sorry, I just forget I ever said that. Peter McCann, he's I don't know why he's bump drafting Conor. I'm not sure why he's not going for it at this point.
I'm not sure why he's bump drafting him now. Maybe halfway through the race, I understand that the two of them are working together in similar to fashion to what we would see the McClemens brothers and Doherty do. But surely now it's got to be every man for himself. In towards the hairpin, Conor Amelia doesn't really have to defend. Is McCann going to get the run here? You would like to think so, especially with the powerful slipstream that these Mazdas have. Down the straight, this is one of McCann's last overtaking opportunities. You've got to have a go into here if you want to go for it. The rest of the corners are tight and twisty, and Peter McCann is nowhere near close enough. Is he going to go for the lunge down the inside? He absolutely is. Amelia defends to the apex. McCann not close enough. Has the windshield wipers going, as this is getting tasty. Conor Amelia has that line, and I think McCann has left this too little too late, and Conor Amelia, bar a mistake, is going to be able to bring this one home. Let's see, is there one last little twist in the tail for Peter McCann, who's looking to win his second consecutive Heat 3 in round number 1 of an RTA championship. This is looking very good for Conor Amelia, who's coming through the final couple of corners now.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by that, I have to say. I'm very, very surprised by that from Peter McCann, that he wasn't more aggressive in his attempts to try and take a position. Great to see David Ward battling up to back to third position. He was leading our race before a mistake pushed him back, but he's done a great job of getting past Evan Walsh, Jeremy Toomey, Sean McGoldrick, Emma Dempsey and Robbie Callahan. I think in amongst that, as Conor Amelia crosses the line and takes our feature race win. He was so looking forward to the Indy cars, couldn't get it done in that, and as is inevitably the case, he goes back to a car that he's not as interested in and immediately gets a podium position.
Yep, that's the way it is, really, isn't it? As here is Ollie Meredith, who I have to say, a very strong Heat 3 for Ollie. He is going to be absolutely knackered after this one, after a full weekend of karting. He's going to come home with a top 10 finish, just ahead of Phillips, and Gary Corcoran will come home in 11th, and shockingly, Ronan Doherty and Dylan McClements, not second or third, not first or second, 12th and 13th.
Yeah, really interesting race, and still the two of them divided by a single place. A little bit more on the timing tower that we're used to. It's going to be a massively interesting race, and yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see the rest of the season. I mean, there's plenty of people are sticking their hands up. David Ward was very quick. Dermot Toomey was very quick. Peter McCann's obviously very quick. Then you look at the likes of, obviously, Ronan and Dylan are there as well. Robbie Callahan's up there. It's going to be a really, really interesting season. I think it's there's a lot more people involved in the title challenge here than we had in the IndyCar series, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're going to shorter circuits. This is one of the longest on the calendar. We're going to a lot shorter circuits. Like Lime Rock is going to be separated by half a tenth maybe for pole. Brands Hatch Indy, we know how small that is, how chaotic that can get. It's going to be a really good season. Really, really good season.
Yeah, really, really looking forward to it. There is Ronan Doherty soon doing some burnouts just because he can. And we're going to be joined in the commentary booth by Conor Amelia. Devin, do you want to have a chat with Conor?
Yeah, absolutely. Conor, congratulations.
Sorry.
What is Ronan Hederman at? Conor, congratulations. You didn't manage to take the win in the IndyCar, which you were kind of raging about. You've put that to bed pretty quickly.
Yeah. Good first round of the season. I enjoy driving these cars. I drove them a lot in my early iRacing career. So yeah, it's like coming back to an old friend.
Were you surprised at all at how much Peter was helping you in that last heat? Because we were a bit surprised that he never really went for a big overtaking attempt until late in the last lap.
Yeah, he went for a few in the second race, and I think was more worried about dropping back further than he was more worried about what he had to lose than what he had to gain by overtaking me, which made it handy for me. But yeah, no, I think we were both pretty happy. We both probably would have been happy with either first or second, because I think that puts us 1 and 2 in the championship. I imagine it would. So yeah, it was a bit of early teamwork there from me and Peter.
Speaking of championships, Kevin thought you'd already won one. Would you like to prove him right this season?
Absolutely. Yeah, two championships would be nice. I think next round out in the V's, I can win it if I finish 9th or above. I think will get me the B championship in the V's, and about 8 more weeks of exactly what I did there in the Mazdas will win me this one.
Any tracks that take your fancy? I know you're a big fan of Road America, but I think Road America in MX-5s is a bit extreme.
Bit long, yeah. Bathurst will be good. Chaos, but I love a bit of chaos. And Virginia VIR is always a great track. In these cars, it'll be fantastic. You can really kill those curbs. So that should be good fun.
Amelia, congratulations. Race
Thank you,
winner.
lads.
And second place, who helped Connor to victory, and with Kevin, is Peter McCann.
Peter, why didn't you just overtake him?
I don't think I would have had the pace. So the minute I went for it, I knew he was just going to be all over me again. To be fair, Kev. So that's.
It's interesting because obviously you were bump drafting him going right through the race. Sorry. Also, hello, Peter McCann. Thank you for
Hello.
joining us. I just wanted to kind of hit you with a bit of a short question. Because you were bump drafting him along the straights, and we kind of felt like in the previous race you felt like you were being held up by him, so you were being a little bit more aggressive. But then that didn't quite work out. Is that kind of what caused you to kind of think, look, I'm actually happy enough where I am?
I did make one go of it on the last lap, but I was just afraid of what I was going to lose. It was better to get 28 points than lose 20 odd points. I practiced here tonight and I was 18th and I qualified 11th, so I'll take second all night. It's a great set of results for me tonight. I'm happy enough.
Yeah. Oh, come here. A phenomenal set of results. And you were in with a shout of potentially winning all three. So just tell us a little bit more about that second race, because we talked to Evan Walsh about it, who eventually finished third. But it was fairest tight between all you lads. And it's actually great to, with the Indy cars, I suppose it was such a steep learning curve for people. You kind of want to be comfortable enough in those cars. But with these, it doesn't take that long to kind of get up to speed with them. You could even see over the course this evening how the lads who hadn't practiced that much during the week, like yourself, were kind of picking up the pace as they started to get the feel of it again.
Yeah, the great thing about running the MX-5s, Kevin, is that when you start the service, like start iRacing, it's the first car everyone drives. Well, it's that or the Vs, but everyone ends up in the MX-5s. Everyone knows how they drive, so you can be safe enough that the grid is going to be pretty good. I know there was a little bit of contact here and there, and there's a few over rotations and stuff, but it's been a good night across the grid. I think everyone's fairly happy up there. So.
Well, finally, hopefully we'll be speaking to you again over the course of this championship. I know you'll be hoping that you'll be speaking to us. But just tell us, while we have you, a little bit about the calendar and the choices. I know we spoke to you at the end of last season about it, but Okayama's one of the longer tracks in the circuit. So I'm sure Ronan will flash up the calendar on the screen for us to have a look at again. But there is some kind of shorter tracks over the course of this championship that we're going to get to have a look at. Lime Rock Park next week is going to be a cracker.
Yeah, so Lime Rock Park, all we want to do is drive, overtaking, and keeping the pack together. So Lime Rock Park next week is going to be the no chicanes outer loop, the fast one that just is going to be phenomenal in the MX-5s. Donington Park National is just fantastic as well, all down to the S's, the craners at the start is just awesome. Mid-Ohio, I have to vote that on every calendar from now on. I think that's just fantastic. We did it in the MX-5s before, and that last sector, or the kind of two last sectors, with the undulations and the elevation changes and the left-rightness of that is just really, really good, and it promotes great racing as well. Silverstone, we're doing the national track there, of course. It's all these old faithfuls that we do in the Vs and the MX-5s. VIR, we're doing I don't know the name of it, but the Norderschleife-esque one where we turn back on the back straight and go back up into the inside of that track again. It's the mad one.
Oh yeah. I haven't raced that configuration of it, but I love that track. I was saying to Evan that I think it's very underrated, not used on the officials nearly enough.
No, and it's just a really, really good track. Again, the whole calendar was about driving, overtaking, keeping the pack together, allowing straights to, if you fall off a couple of tenths in a sector, the straight will bring you back. Although we've seen tonight, draft isn't unbelievable, but it's okay once you're up in fourth gear and there's plenty of air flowing over the first car. And then we just had a kind of a wild card last round where we went with Bathurst, which is just, I don't know how that's going to play out, but it'll be interesting.
Well, very much looking forward to it. Peter, hopefully we'll be speaking to you again because the championship's wide open after that opening round. Plenty of people have put their hands up, including yourself, for a potential championship. So hopefully be speaking to you soon. And thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you.
So finally, he's been waiting long enough. David Ward joins Evan Dalton.
David, apologies, we kept you long. We were having a bit of a chit chat with Peter and Connor. Indy cars you certainly enjoyed. You decided to stick with us in the Mazdas, and I think that decision has paid off.
Yeah, it's definitely been a lot of fun. I enjoy this car a lot more than the Indy cars.
Good battling out there. Did you enjoy getting door to door with some of RTA's finest?
I love it. I love this sort of racing. I love when you can get real side by side and you can have 3 wide down the straights. It's so much fun.
And in terms of longer championship ambitions then, is there anything in that sort of direction from yourself?
Not really. I'd like to be up there like I was in the IndyCar. I mean, a podium in the first race or third race in round 1 is fantastic. So I think I've got a good chance of fighting the guys at the front. But I mean, you've got Ronan, Dylan. They're ridiculously quick. There is a lot of fast people in here. So I'll be happy to pull some podiums, to be honest.
And look, we've asked Connor and Peter their thoughts on tracks, so it's only fair we ask you as well. Is there any track on the calendar that you pinpoint as, right, I can do well there?
This one.
Oh, well, there we go.
It's Okayama is a track that I will drive at every opportunity I get. I love this track. I think it flows really well. I think the racing is always great. I think the one I'm not looking forward to is Bathurst.
I think there's definitely mixed feelings on that one, but a good start to the season for yourself, David, and thank you very much for joining us as always.
Thanks very much.
So, great to hear from our podium runners and good chats with them all. Now, Kevin, it's the topic of driver of the day.
Yeah, and last couple of weeks we've been blessed to have drivers in the commentary booth when we've given them driver of the day. But sadly, our driver this week isn't with us, but she has won this week's driver of the day, and that is number 17, Emma Dempsey. Very, very well deserved from Emma. A superb opening race. And really stuck with the pace, stayed out of trouble, stayed out of Jamal Gandor's way, most importantly, and managed to gain some superb points for herself in what I imagine will be a B championship. Although based on today's result, you never know, she might be promoted. But congratulations to Emma, our Gantry TV driver of the day. And Evan, I'm sure you could say it was very, very well deserved.
Yeah, 100% deserved. Emma's best night, I think, since joining us in RTA. Pace was there, although she was very quick in the IndyCar as well. Pace was there, good battles, kept it clean, avoided Jamal, job done.
Yeah, any day you avoid Jamal on track is a good day for Emma Dempsey. So that is us for this evening. Championship's wide open. It's really interesting. We see the kind of old heads of, the likes of the Dylans and the Ronans, but then we see some, well, not so new names, but names that we haven't seen up the spiky end of the podium in a bit of time. Then we have some of these old faithfuls like Evan Walsh, who we're hoping will stick around for the season, and the likes of David Ward, who is very quick in these cars, and I suspect we'll have a few more podiums before the season's out. But from Asia, we head all the way over to the United States and to the state of Massachusetts and the famous Lime Rock Park. Absolutely cracking circuit, a very, very small circuit, but a cracking nonetheless. And that wraps us up for August. Then we had our September swing, which sees us go back and forth between the United Kingdom and the United States, Donington Park, Mid-Ohio, Silverstone, and Virginia, back to Brands Hatch before we round out our season in October, down under in Mount Panorama Circuit. But my thanks to Evan Dalton, as always. My thanks to Ronan Hederman, as always, for their work, ongoing work. And visit rtavirtualmotorsport.com for all of the updates there as well. And do keep an eye on motorsport.ie. who are giving us all the action on Irish motorsport. And also stay up to date with Evan Dalton's own personal Instagram page as well, because Evan often broadcasts where he is and is doing an awful lot of broadcasting in some of the karting series that are taking place around the country at the moment as well. So I'm sure Evan is seeing some of our next great generation of drivers. As I said, thanks to him, thanks to Ronan, thanks to all of you for watching, commenting, getting in touch. Do share the word and spread the message here, because it's set to be a superb championship. Next week, we head to the United States. But until then, have a great week. Enjoy the rest of the summer holidays for those of you who are either teaching or are studying. And we'll talk to you next week. Slán go fóill.